I just think it's strength in quality movement. It's amazing how many people view fitness as different because, some people are like, oh, that person looks fit. And I have some people that come in here, I just want to look fit. What do you mean by looking fit? Because, I think there's even like a video or something out there, and it shows like, again, a CrossFit athlete, and then you look at like just a kind of 5K runner maybe or something like that, someone who might do yoga, and you'll look at different body shapes and size, and they're like, well, that's not fit, that's just like muscular and bulky, and that's fit because of this and that. So I really think it's like down to the individual of how you feel like you want to be fit. I feel fit when I am strong and I'm lifting weights, I don't feel fit when I try to run.
Yeah.
So, but I think in general, like, you're going to live longer and be more pain-free living if you move well. Mm-hmm. And whether that comes through running or walking or lifting weights or doing whatever, but having quality movement and finding a way to do it, you're going to do better when you can pick things up and put them down longer as you live. Tying your shoe and going to the bathroom
and everything.
Yeah.
It really does.
So, how you find a way to be strong, whether it's in a gym or at home or whatever it is, inside, outside, it's a matter of doing what works and moving well.
I am an everyday athlete.
I am an everyday athlete.
I am an everyday athlete.
Good morning, everyone. This is Jared Bassman with Mark McCain, and you are listening to Everyday Athlete, a podcast devoted to bringing you the amazing stories behind the lives of day-to-day athletes like yourself. And we are down in Lexington today with Melissa Jutras. I got that right?
You got it right.
All right.
Nice.
I practiced it a couple times before then. We're at Big Blue Strength, and we just had someone leave here. We're talking to him. So I've been here since 2014. Is that correct?
Yep.
So we're getting close to. Is it at 4 years or close to 4 years?
Close to 4 years.
Close to 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
Is this where you've been the whole time?
My first brick and mortar.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, I was established as an LLC long before, but I was also working out of different spaces. And I was just tired of driving around all day. And I was like, I need to just be localized to one place.
There you go.
Yeah.
Sweet space.
Yeah, it is very cool. So I'm not sure what you can see. Maybe we'll do a walkthrough later, but kind of explain everything you have here, because it's definitely not just a weightlifting and or CrossFit gym. We have a lot of things going on here, right, within these four walls.
Yeah, like I said before, I was driving around all day because I'd have Pilates clients at one location, and then I'd have a fit camp CrossFit-y thing at another location, and then I'd have personal training clients at 2 different gyms, and it was a lot to schedule. Mm-hmm. And my weightlifting clients, it'd be okay, I'd want to do this with them to help them rehab something or whatever, and I didn't have my Pilates stuff, and I'd be having to too much crossing over and uncrossing over that I didn't want to happen. So I just needed a space that I could be hey, you need this and you need that, and everybody needs both. So I have a full Pilates studio. I have weightlifting platforms. We have a CrossFit style area of the gym, so we kind of have 3 main areas, and then do a lot of personal training during the day.
Yeah, and I don't want to get too far ahead of myself here, but I'm actually just curious. So maybe for you, how do all these things kind of play into each other as far as I think Mark and I could probably both make the connection of how they play in, but for the general public, how do you see Pilates complementing weightlifting, complementing CrossFit, and in this little kind of triage here?
It's just moving in general, looking for quality movement that applies to life. Like we were talking earlier about just getting people to move. So when someone comes in and they're oh, I can't bend my knees, I can put them in a supine position and be you can bend your knees, but something happens with gravity that's not working with you and your stability. So a lot of times I can build things up with somebody until they're ready. Or, I have someone who has old injuries from sports back in the day, and they're wanting to Olympic lift or this or that, or they've been Olympic lifting and they have an injury start to come creeping back, and I'm like, hey, I can still get you to do all these things, in a different way, maybe on a reformer or a different piece of equipment is helpful on Pilates, just getting that, the way that the spring tension works, keeping the muscles engaged concentrically and eccentrically versus always like dumbbell and a lot of concentric work. You can kind of get that eccentric control of the muscle, and it kind of helps to rehab a lot of the things. So it's kind of like injury prevention with strength gains. And
Wait, hold on. I can't just come in and start snatching and clean and jerk.
I mean, you heard the
So,
lady that just
yeah,
she's like, I'm ready.
That was the exact thing I was going to try to lead into, and you did an awesome job. And we call it the Yosemite Sam syndrome. Whenever they come in and just, so we're on a main strip here in Lexington, and this lady just walked in, and you could tell she was probably in her 50s, 60s, somewhere around there.
62,
60s. Yeah. And anyway, she's like, well, what do you do here? And then you said, hey, we do, this, this, and this. But you just mentioned Pilates, CrossFit, and weightlifting. She's like, well, what are you interested in? She's like, all of it, and anyway, the long story short, you basically said, no matter what you're interested in, we need to start with orientation. I need to get to know you. I need to see how you move, as opposed to maybe a gym that would just be like, all right, well, there's a CrossFit class in an hour. Like, change your clothes and put your shoes on. Let's go.
Yeah.
So I think it is super important because, we found out over the years, whenever people are typically broken whenever they
Pretty
start,
much.
Especially if you're in your 50s and 60s
Especially
and you're not.
as an adult. Just it is like you've taken these habits and growing up playing sports, it's like, all right, game's over. I mean, I'm good. And it's just like you just went 2 hours at here, and then you're like, all right, well, see you later.
Yeah.
And that creates some bad habits later down the road. So, just talking to you for the short time we've had here already, I mean, you've obviously have a wealth of knowledge. Where did fitness start for you?
I did sports like all growing up. I'm from New Hampshire, so I mean, you do different sports all year round. Everybody does winter sports and summer sports. So I was coaching like gymnastics, tumbling, and choreographing cheerleading and dance routines when I was in high school. And then coming off to college, I was either looking at nursing or teaching, and came down here actually for nursing to go to UK, and
From New Hampshire?
From New Hampshire.
Okay.
They had a good nursing program.
Yeah.
And then got my CNA, and I just never wanted to wipe somebody's butt ever again.
Ooh.
So, yeah.
Besides your sons. I guess.
Yeah, exactly. So after that, I kind of went undeclared, and I kind of started taking, I'm like, I need to like learn how to lift weights. So I took like some conditioning classes because, again, all is like going around and throwing out at the gym by yourself or something. And at the time, UK had a converted racquetball court in this really tiny weight room with like one little tiny set of dumbbells and a Nautilus circuit. And so, but I really enjoyed that class and just kind of continued into like some kinesiology kind of stuff, and then realized that kind of combined my love for health and teaching. So I was like, this is like what I've wanted to do. I didn't know it existed though.
Yeah.
Like no one talks to you as an advisor when you're in like high school to be like, you should do kinesiology.
Yeah.
It's like, again, it's not one of the listed things. So I didn't even know it existed until like I had to explore it myself. So, and that's just going through your like class thing to sign up, and you're like, oh, what's this? I think I'll take that and see what that's like.
Yeah, it's
So,
super interesting
awesome.
to see how those paths start to develop. You think you're on this one path, and then
Yeah.
you're taking a sharp right or sharp left, and send you a completely different way.
Yeah.
So getting into post-graduate after kind of going through these kinesiology classes, where did that kind of bring you as far as it's a big jump, I'm sure, but from getting there to here now?
I moved back home after college and worked at a gym as a personal trainer. Most people start that way. I also taught a lot of group fitness classes. I coached at a sports performance institute. I got my USA Weightlifting back in 2005. I got at the time they did sports performance separately, so I got that as well. And I got involved. I was doing weightlifting up there back then.
In 2005, you are well ahead of the curve as far as like seeing the popularity of the sport grow. I mean, that back then it was like there's few and far between.
It predates CrossFit.
Yeah,
you know,
I mean, pretty much predating the beginning of where you see CrossFit boom.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm sure it was much different then than it is now.
Yeah, I mean, I was doing my fit camp back then, and this guy at the gym I was doing it at, he brought me this like stapled packet of paper, and he's like, "You should look at this. You pretty much do this CrossFit thing." I was like, "Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
Pretty cool." And I just kind of shrugged it off, not even thinking about it, because I was like, "Man, this guy is probably this like article, whatever," and didn't know at the time. I mean, this was probably 2006, maybe 2007, that he brought me this piece of paper, and I just didn't even think about it. And then look where it is now.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, well,
So-
it's funny too because there's when you really we were reading through CSCS book and it's like you're reading through it and you're like, this is just CrossFit. Everything they really recommend, even though they're in a lawsuit. I don't know if they're still in that lawsuit together, but like, you know, there was this big legal battle, and it's like you guys do the same thing.
Yeah.
You know, none of this is new.
No.
it's just
It's
it's
all
putting
the
it
same
into
thing.
a sporting atmosphere that
There you
makes it
go.
a little bit different, right?
There you go.
Mark was talking on the way down here about Greg Almanson. You know, his first CrossFit workout being, you know, put against someone. He's like, I always worked out with people. He's like, I've never worked out against someone.
Yeah.
Like, that was the shift.
Yep,
Working
You
out
do
against
it a lot
someone.
faster.
And you do it a lot faster.
You do it a lot faster.
And then lay on the floor for a while afterwards.
pretty much.
Yeah.
So how did you kind of move into maybe CrossFit? So in 2005, you've weightlifting, right? So when do you said you kind of noticed, oh yeah, I kind of do this CrossFit thing, shrugged to the side. When do you notice that like, oh, this is something that I'm gonna kind of go into a little bit more?
So I was doing a lot of weightlifting back then. Took a little break, got a little more focused into my Pilates, and then when I was down here, I'm like, man, I really haven't weightlifted in a while, so I want to get back in and find a coach. And so I was looking for a weightlifting coach, and found John Spurlock at Big Blue CrossFit, and I was like, I did my my internship at UK, so I was like, well, I know that their level of knowledge is pretty good, and it's not just because by that time, 2010, 11, I'd known more about CrossFit, and I was like, well, I really just want to do weightlifting, but you know, I got involved with the CrossFit and weightlifting there, and kind of that was my kind of jump back into it after a few years hiatus.
Sure. Want to take a quick break?
Sure.
Do you need to take
Sure.
a quick break? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
That's okay.
We'll be right back. Hey everyone, this is Jared Baston,
And I'm Mark McKean.
and we are the owners of Triumph Strength and Conditioning. We opened Triumph Strength in 2013 with a group of small committed members, and we have grown into a thriving community. So if you don't know what CrossFit is, it's a high-intensity workout that's always changing, encompassing your full body.
CrossFit is also scalable. You don't have to be a professional athlete to perform in our program. Whether you have a pull-up or not, we're going to show you the proper progression to maximize your performance each and every day.
Best thing is this program for you. There's zero guesswork behind your day-to-day here. You show up, there's a workout plan led by a qualified trainer. Think of it much like group personal training, individualized attention in a group setting.
Since 2013, we've become more than just a CrossFit gym. Now we offer a variety of programs.
In 2014, we started Triumph Barbell Club with a group of 5 members and have grown into the largest barbell club in the tri-state.
We also offer personal training. This is usually sport specific, whether you're training for the big game or just trying out for the team, we got you covered.
And every weekend, we have 3 chances for you to bring friends and family into the gym and introduce them to the community. Over the past 5 years, we've built Triumph from a gym into a community and into a family. It's a place where you can come, take a break from your hectic work week, enjoy some time with friends, and celebrate the triumphs of your daily life.
If you'd like to learn more, head over to triumphstrength.net, click the Get Started button. Hope to see you soon.
All right, and we're back. Short intermission there. We were talking a little bit about getting into kind of the world of CrossFit, which kind of just judging by the space, it probably takes up the most space, but I kind of get the feeling that it's definitely not your main focus. Do you think that it's split kind of evenly? Is it like, we do a lot more weightlifting than we do anything else? Because from the sound of it, your first passion was weightlifting.
That's what I like. I started off trying to go into being a strength coach. And then when you realize that like you're limited by like where schools are and things like that, I'm like, I don't want to like live in North Dakota or like some of these other places because that's the only job you can find is it.
So you're talking more of like, I want to be a strength coach for a certain first, like.
Right. Like back in the day, it was like, I wanted to be a strength coach. And then it was
the
like,
opportunities then are not the same as they are now.
No, 2003, there was like very few female strength coaches and the jobs weren't like they're few and far between. And I didn't want to move everywhere and anywhere. I was really like, I kind of want to like live where I want to live. So that's when I just was like, well, let's see what the opportunities are doing like the personal training thing and stuff like that. And that's when I had moved back to New Hampshire and started that kind of journey. And then I was again working at a sports performance place. So I was kind of like still doing all the things, and I was like Olympic lifting at the time and whatnot. And then I started, I took a Pilates class when I was at UK, one of my last few semesters, and I really sucked at it and I got mad. And so then I was like, okay,
It's weird how that happens.
Yeah, you're like, I can lift all these weights and then I can't do this little thing she's talking about. So then I really kind of like dove into that to be like, there's a reason why like that's hard for me and I want to like get better at it. So I kind of
efficiency there.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's not everybody.
And that's right. That definitely speaks to your character. Again, and call it gut feelings. But we've just, we've done a few of these, and you kind of talk to people, and you just get these gut feelings. Again, we talked about Drew the other day, where it's like the kid's 22, and he's more humble than most adults. At 22, being a regionals athlete, and like the same thing for you, where it's like, wow, this is put in front of me, and I don't feel like I'm great at it, and I have the humility and the acceptance to know that like I'm not good at this, but I'm going to do everything I can to become better at it.
Yeah, and just seek the knowledge out. You have to be a consummate student in this profession, and it sounds like you're just like, oh, this is another chance to learn stuff. So I think that's really cool.
One of the things you mentioned was starting out and there not being a lot of female strength coaches. Obviously, we are not females. Just maybe from a female perspective,
Well,
if I had long hair, maybe, but. Maybe from a female perspective, just, what's it like being a strength coach as a woman, especially, starting back then when there wasn't these opportunities? Did you find there was roadblocks? Is there? Yeah,
it took me a while to like be that person that was confident enough to like say, okay, I can be the gym owner at this point in my career. I get some kids that are doing like observation hours, and they're like, I want to own a gym. And I think like, so you think you're going to get out of school and like next year open a gym? Maybe you should go work in the field first and get some experience, get some knowledge, do all the things. And that's where I feel like all of us had to do. We all had to go work as a personal trainer in this kind of atmosphere and work in this atmosphere and work in, for this person and that person, kind of see. I was, working for someone and watch how they run a business and all those types of things so that I would feel comfortable. Because that's the stuff they don't teach you in school is how to run a business.
And why they don't teach you that, I don't understand.
No.
It needs to be an adult class, just like how to be an adult. But, even you said it yourself, like this place was not how it looks 4 years ago. So, we always joke that if you never want to be consistently working out, just make sure you open a gym. Because that's kind of the same route. People think that it's just this.
Or you work out all day.
Yeah, exactly.
I rarely it takes me all day to try to plan my 45-minute, maybe hour block, and then someone walks in the door or the phone rings or whatever, and I have to check this email right now, and And then I'm like, oh, there goes another day where I barely snuck in 30 minutes.
Time management, it's tough.
It's hard.
Because, like, I mean, obviously, you said we've been here for not even an hour, and 2 people have walked in, and those aren't planned, you know, always.
Yeah.
So,
And you kind of get sucked into, obviously, appeasing them, not appeasing them, but genuinely having them come through and seeing a new space, and having, obviously, a benefit of being on the main drag definitely helps that. We don't get nearly as many walk-ins that something like this would, for sure, because we're often in an industrial road. So, so weightlifting kind of being the forefront for you. You know, I saw pictures of you at Masters Nationals, and like you said, you're pushing a baby around and things like that. So, what was that experience like? Was it your first time at Masters Nationals? You've been there
Third
before?
time.
Third? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So, you've been lifting since.
I started really in like 2002, 2003.
Okay.
In 2007, I actually had some seizures and couldn't drive anymore.
Whoa.
So then it was like I couldn't get a ride to the gym. So my parents would just bring me to work and bring me home, and I kind of stopped doing a lot of things. But I just worked out at the gym that I was at, which didn't have bumper plates and all that kind of stuff. So I just squatted, deadlifted, and stuff like that.
sorry to jump in. Were you self-taught, or did you have like a coach?
I learned from my internship at UK, really,
Okay.
because a lot of their athletes do, you know, power cleans, hang cleans, you know, snatching and stuff like that. And then I was able to kind of continue that when I moved home, and was at our, like, I was working at a CATS, which is out of California, but they have a couple locations up in Massachusetts. So I was working there and, you know, training athletes using Olympic lifting and stuff. And that's when I was getting my certifications and stuff like that. And then in 2007, I moved back here, and just kind of like, you didn't hear any weightlifting around here.
There really
So it was
isn't.
nothing. So it just kind of like, I was focused on Pilates and personal training and just kind of did that. And then it was like, man, I'm really like miss Olympic lifting like a lot. So that was when my like search started of like, I don't even know where to go to find anything, you know? And at the time there wasn't like, I maybe got Facebook in 2008. So you didn't really go to Facebook to find anything at that time.
Yeah, there was not Facebook business. Like, that was
No.
not really a thing. You're talking, that's just blown up in the last couple of years. So you're almost like, you know, at that point probably even Yahoo. You know, it's like Yahoo searches were still a thing back then. But so seeing this need, was it kind of like you said, you have an interest in it. So did you just kind of start like, I'm going to start out on my own, or did you actually find a place to go?
I went over to UK,
Okay.
exactly where I did my internship, and they had started CrossFit. And I was like, well, if this is how I can Olympic lift, this is where I'll go.
Yeah,
right.
And it was either that or maybe one of the other CrossFits or whatever, but it's like a mile from my house, so I was like,
Sure.
sweet. So I started doing that, and then just kind of, you know, did CrossFit and weightlifting for a few years, and then just kind of like the CrossFit fizzled out for me, and I just was like, man, my lifting sucks if I do too much with the CrossFit workouts, so I just make sure that, like, you know, I just stuck to the Olympic lifting.
Sure. So when you started your journey into weightlifting, were you competitive the whole time, or did that come later down the road for you?
They were doing like a team competition with Cincinnati and maybe Louisville or something.
Okay.
And they were like, hey, will you be on our team? And I'm like, sure, whatever. Sure.
Yeah.
And then they're like, hey, you put up some half decent numbers. If you drop 2 kilos, you qualify for the American Open.
Sure.
And I thought, why not?
Yeah.
So I went to Ben's old gym in the old, like, what do you call it, garage that he had.
Yeah.
I don't even remember what street that is, but we did that, and I qualified for the American Open back in 2013. So, yeah.
And again, just to point how far weightlifting has come in the last couple of years, we went to nationals in Westchester roller skating.
Yes, I remember that one.
Yeah.
That was 2013, wasn't it?
Was it?
13, because
Yeah.
2014 I had planned to go in Salt Lake City.
Yeah, so
Yeah, and
it's just, we're literally, if I have photos from it, we went and I took pictures, and there's like the silhouettes of like people roller skating in the
Yeah.
background of all these photos, and just to think of like, the American Open series where they are right now. I mean, that is a national stage, full backdrop, TV screen, a lot. So, oh my goodness,
So many things.
guard
I
dogs.
know.
I know, not a problem.
It's all good.
But so 2013 is your first time at the American Open, and you are a senior then. Or you're not, so we're not moving into Master Nationals at that point.
No, I was 33.
Okay. So then how do you get from there into your Masters Nationals? Like just qualifying, so that would be 2015?
15,
Would put you as a Masters athlete?
Yep. And then I thought, Savannah, Georgia, that's nice, in
Yeah.
March. So
I don't know
let's
what it
take a
is
trip.
about, you look at like Masters Worlds and they're like, we're going, to Spain, or, all
Yeah.
these nice warm destinations and things like that. So we go from there, and at that point, so you've been here since 2014, so you've been actually in this space at that point. Was weightlifting a big part of where you are at that point in this actual space?
At that time, we were still part of Central Kentucky Weightlifting with
Okay.
John Spurlock. And so some of us, when I was working out at UK, I was lifting with some of their GAs and stuff like that. So I still communicate with some of those people. And now they're in different parts of the country after getting jobs. And so they kind of evolved. He kind of moved up at UK. A lot of their roles changed at Kentucky, like Olympic sports, and their strength coaches have moved around. And so he kind of let Central Kentucky Weightlifting go, and that's why I was like, well, there's no official USA Weightlifting Club around here then. So that's why we kind of all transferred
So
over
you started,
to
you
Big Blue
filled it,
Weightlifting.
Yeah, filled a need then at that point.
Yep.
Yeah. And I guess just in a microcosm, how have you seen that grow here, just within your four walls, and we'll kind of go out from there?
We're still working on establishing ourselves, and that's where I kind of feel like there's some people that, like, we've had a few people walk in and they look at me like, you own the gym? Oh, a little girl owns the gym. Oh, there's
Yeah.
no way. So, and then my husband looks like he lifts weights.
Yeah.
So it's like I'm not validated sometimes until he stands next to me and they're like, oh, okay, so he must own the gym.
Yeah.
No, actually, I
Mark-
own the gym.
Mark is just goes into, as business owners, we have a little bit different perspective. I'm sure having experienced that, you walk into a place with a little bit different perspective than someone walking off the street. But I know Mark had a kind of the same kind of experience where I think it was like a deadlift. You visited somewhere,
Oh,
you guys were
yeah.
deadlifting or something like that. It was just like, the guy didn't want anything to do with him, and then, Mark's deadlifting like 525, and he's like, oh, we're best friends now.
Yeah.
I don't know why people need this validation tick of
No,
like,
I just to fill that up, I just asked the guy if he had any belts, and he's like, well, we don't use belts here. I was like, all right. I'm dropping in the first time at this gym ever. I'm like, okay, that's cool, man. And then, like I said, once I started loading the weight on, he was like, oh, they're in the back. I'm like, I didn't know you were going to be lifting weights. It's like, that's what we're doing, right? Deadlift.
yeah.
Anyway, it was just, so, and again, first impressions are, they're tough, but just talking to you for a little bit, I'm like,
Well, the funny thing is we
wouldn't-
both walked in this space and we're like, this is awesome.
yeah.
And it's like, it doesn't matter who owns it,
Literally a gym that I would want to train at if I had lived around here.
Yeah.
Honestly, there's a lot, just a little attention to details with just different bars and yokes, and really fill the space up with a lot of cool stuff. Like
Yeah.
really cool stuff. So anyway, I digress.
Yeah. So moving into your kind of role, so you're filling this need at Big Blue Strength that is now kind of maybe dispersed because, like you said, these other people are filling these other roles. How does that lead you into kind of where you are now? So now you are Kentucky State President, and it sounds like you're just filling a bigger need. So I think you and I are maybe in the same boat if we look at the state of Kentucky in weightlifting, and it's almost non-existent. in comparison to other states, even just Ohio and Indiana.
Right.
You know, like I know Will Fleming does a great job in Bloomington and things like that, and you know, Ohio has Ohio State, which there's a lot of really strong people up there. So how do you kind of move into this, feeling this need for the whole state? On accident?
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's like just showing up with, you know, a handful of lifters at a lot of different meets, getting to know people, because right before, you know, we went to a covert meet, a month and a half ago now, and, you know, I know all those guys and a lot of other people from Louisville, so I guess it's just being in the scene for, you know, a while and just getting to know a lot of people by showing up and just being there all day with different athletes. And I don't know,
90% of the job is showing up sometimes.
Yeah.
You know?
Just building relationships.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know?
And just making sure no one goes without a coach, you know?
Yeah.
So I know you have like Lavetta up there and stuff, and it's like, you know, we've gone to different places and she's like, hey, I don't have a coach with me, or someone will show up and it's like, I know we can't go to everything. So it's like what I want to try to build with Kentucky weightlifting in general is like making sure everybody's covered. There's a lot of people that don't have a club affiliation, and you know, or I mean, it's okay to train at your own home, but it's, you know, nice to have a club to be involved in too.
It's just like anything else. You have, weightlifting is different in that it is it's the solitude with it. I mean, you're on a platform by yourself, but man, it makes a big difference when you are lifting with someone else versus lifting, you know, by yourself. And like a lot of people don't understand the need for that coach, you know, to telling that you're there to make lifts. Your coach is there to tell you when to take those lifts.
Yes.
You know, so you can shut your brain off and focus on the task at hand.
Absolutely.
Which is
one lift at a time. Yes.
You know, that's
exactly.
That is the big difference. Just out of curiosity, what is the big draw for weightlifting as opposed to like the sport of CrossFit? You said it kind of fizzled out for you.
You know, we made sacrifices when we chose this space of tall ceilings and, you know, being able to do like muscle ups and rope climbs and things like that, you know, and it's like there's already 3 other CrossFits and one of them has 2 locations in Lexington.
Yeah.
You know, they have games teams and all that stuff there. Like, I don't need to be that other gym to do that. So, but you know, we are all like weightlifters at heart. So it's one of those things that, you know, they're CrossFitters when it comes down to it, and I'll let them have that. It's not like my diehard like love. I love lifting weights. And if I can help people do that better, then I don't mind taking on that as our niche versus being just another CrossFit. So we have CrossFit, but it's more like general fitness CrossFit.
Sure.
So.
Yeah. And again, I think there's the need for all of those. Obviously, you know, you have a need for your high level kind of stuff. You're fine.
That's okay.
Yeah.
They hate the little pump thing he has. I had a dog that used to hate
my dog hates
bicycles.
bikes.
Yes.
Yeah, I think it's
bicycles.
wheels. I don't know
Yep.
what
I
it
think
is.
it's
I don't know what it is.
so.
We'll take a quick break and just
Okay.
hang out for a second.
Thanks.
Okay, we're back. We have a special guest now.
Yes.
Yeah. And this is
Joey.
Joey. Hi, Joey.
Jojo.
He is eating. He is now awake. So, you know, while you were kind of getting things together, you're juggling a lot of different stuff, right?
Yeah.
So,
Super impressive.
Yeah, it is very impressive just to
Makes
watch.
me feel like I need to step my game up.
I know, right? So how do you juggle all these different things going on at all times?
It's a lot of time management.
Yeah.
And a lot of planning ahead.
Yeah.
So,
Probably some patience.
yep. Yes, definitely. So, I mean, pretty much like you said, you know, when people come here, they know that like, hey, this is my like I'm here more than I'm at home. So
Right.
this is my home too.
Right.
So you're gonna have my dogs, you're gonna have my kid, you're gonna have my husband, you're gonna have the whole gang, you know. So I encourage people to, you know, bring their kids, and you know, I don't have in a sense, childcare room.
Yeah.
So, you know, the kids sit on the floor, they read books, or, you know, we give them things to work out, or they work out with their parents, kind of thing.
Sure.
So we encourage, you know, kids to get involved versus like just a kid going sitting in the corner and, you know, doing something separate.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, I think that's super important. We recently introduced a Fit Family class that allows the parents to actually work out with their kids, and it's just, we don't have kids yet, but I mean, when you see it, you're like, wow, you're literally having not only them bond together, but doing something physically that is better for them, you know, rather than them just taking a back seat and sitting on the lobby or something like that. So,
Yeah.
So going back to kind of what we were talking about earlier, just the Kentucky State President, what are your big goals? I mean, you said you want everyone to have a coach. You want, I think, just maybe a sense of community, kind of what I get from
Absolutely.
you. You know, having a cohesive kind of oneness. I heard you kind of mention it before, like I'm not the president, like I'm just the spokesman for everyone.
That's kind of how I see it as, you know,
Yeah.
like I just have to be the one that deals with USA Weightlifting.
Yeah. You get to tackle all the fun stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The communication part of back and forth.
Exactly. So, where would you like to kind of see things go over the next? Is it just one? Is it per year?
I think it's 2.
2. Okay. So where do you kind of want to see things go over the next 2 years?
I just want to see more cohesiveness between all parts of Kentucky. You know, I know Ben was trying to move around, like the state meet to different parts of the state. You know, like, yes, Louisville's centralized, as he was mentioning, but, you know, trying to put it either in Lexington or Northern Kentucky or Western Kentucky or things like that. So the Open this fall is in Western Kentucky and kind of moving it around that way. And that way people also see different parts of the state, because for, you know, in a 3-hour span for us, I mean, we've been to meets up in Indiana, we've been in Ohio, we've been in different areas, and I still haven't been to Western Kentucky for a meet. But again, Ohio and Indiana, there's meets all the time.
Yeah.
So trying to get more meets on our calendar and things like that, getting more people involved, and then just highlighting our athletes, I think, a bit more. You know, highlighting youth weightlifting, highlighting our masters weightlifters, just kind of getting people to like get to know each other, and that, you know, that way we all show up to all the meets together, and, you know, make it a little more fun and kind of like reunite every year and whatnot. I'm hoping to kind of, you know, get more things involved on the website and the social media aspect of, like, you know, highlighting, okay, look at these 2 athletes from Kentucky are going to nationals. Let's all support them. You know, if there's, you know, some people want to go to nationals, and, you know, if there's a way of supporting them financially, or, you know, just cheering them on, or getting more people to just watch it in general when, you know, when they're lifting.
Yeah, introducing
Great.
people to the sport has definitely been pretty fun, honestly. You know, you get people who just think of it, like you just go up there and snatch and clean. Well, the little nuances here and there, I think, are what makes it super exciting, you know. And every now and then you really get to dive deep, and you see a battle between 2 69-kilo weightlifters, you know.
Yeah.
Like, it's a little bit more of the in-depth stuff, but to see people get excited about a new sport is probably the most exciting thing, at least me personally.
Yeah.
Because, again, sport as adults is a little bit different than sports as kids. So
Yeah.
I think you're seeing the master's level athletes picking up weightlifting later on in life and realizing that I can do this and not feel completely beat down. You know, which I feel like it happens from time to time in CrossFit if you take it to that, you know,
Level.
next level.
Yeah.
You know, you can train 4 or 5 days a week, do it correctly, and not feel like you're being crushed.
Well, and especially where, like, I mean, my dad ran, you know, and that's like all people end up doing, running or triathlons or something like that when they get older. And that's really time consuming, and
it's just
beating on
equally
your
as,
body.
oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And you're not building muscle.
Yeah.
Right,
You're
and that's
training
part
one
of
system. You're not
yeah.
you're not getting a lot of anaerobic work. That's the thing that I've really noticed with just seeing our little barbell club kind of flourish lately and really adapt. And like you're kind of saying there with your intentions on being the president, is just building that community.
Yeah.
For our gym started out as a CrossFit gym, and CrossFit obviously is its own community, but seeing this barbell club really form and have this kind of micro community within our bigger community of CrossFit, and seeing what that's become has been really exciting. And to be able to maybe do that statewide would be
They're all struggling.
really cool to watch.
They're all struggling through a 90% week right now.
Yeah.
So it's like seeing them like kind of rally together, like they're doing pause back squats, and it's like, all right, we're gonna get through this together, you know. And it's like you don't really have that in another setting. Like it's just weird. I'm sure you do in powerlifting, but that's a sport I don't know a whole lot about. So
Yeah.
So do you guys host meets here?
We've done a couple like in-house meets, and then we've done one sanctioned meet last year, and then I was like, I'm not gonna want to put all that together right after I have a baby, so our next one is August 25th. It's getting ready to be posted on USA Weightlifting site, so that'll be we did it last year in July, and so this year we'll end up doing it in August as more of like a back to school meet.
Sure. So how do, well, I guess twofold, I guess you answer one or the other first, but how does someone who, like, especially like we've seen a boom in weightlifting because of the sport of CrossFit, I don't think there's any denying that.
Right.
How does someone who's listening kind of get started in the sport as far as maybe starting a club?
So, starting a club and those kinds of things are all done on USA Weightlifting's website. We're hoping on, Ben started Kentucky Weightlifting's website and kind of put some links on there to help you find a club. So people that post to clubs, you can go on USA Weightlifting's and type in like your zip code and find a weightlifting club or start your own. And then we're hoping that our website, kind of, we can help continue to build that and help highlight more club owners and getting people to kind of get their name out there for certain clubs and things like that, so that people join your club.
Sure.
Because it's not, I mean, it's still money to start a club.
Yeah.
You have to pay every year.
Yeah.
So you want to have people in your club.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. And not to mention the cost of equipment is
Yes.
pretty substantial.
Yes.
I mean, as
It's
far
not a
as
pair of running shoes.
yeah,
It's-
correct, proper bumpers and things like that cost a pretty penny. They're not just like your, we have your plain black, rubber bumpers, but your competition bumpers are always way more expensive than you are
Absolutely.
usually expecting to pay. Not to
Yeah.
mention barbells and platforms and jerk blocks and all that fun stuff that comes
Absolutely.
along with it. How, I guess then the other side of the question is, how does a person who is maybe interested in getting started in weightlifting, what would you suggest kind of their first steps be?
Find a coach. Because no matter where that coach is, you want to have someone that can work with you, that's going to get to know you. And I think that comes with any sport and any like sort of situation that comes, especially with fitness, because, I mean, if you are going to be working out at home, have somebody that you can maybe go see once in a while at least, or once a week, that can check in with you. Because, I mean, the last thing you want to do is build imbalances and bad form and build injuries, and then you start really liking something and then you get hurt.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's mainly like find a coach that you know is knowledgeable, that is certified, and that's willing to work with you, and not give you like, here's a program I found online.
Yeah.
Cookie cutter.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of them out there. You can go online and find a $10 program anywhere.
Yeah.
I mean, and you're welcome to try it and see how it does for you. But it's like, and that's probably going to work fine for a while, and then you're going to be slacking in certain areas. I've had a girl come from Eastern Kentucky or something like that, and she had this guy that she met that she thought was giving her a program, and it was snatch, deadlift, snatch, clean and jerk, back squat every single day. That's all she did.
Oh,
I
wow.
was like, And he's like, you don't need to do anything else. That's all you need to do. I was like, oh.
Incorrect.
Well, so you're doing no pulls, no deadlifting, no like working on pulling strength in a sense, like you're not doing any accessory work to build overhead strength or core strength and anything, and just back squats? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, so she just did the same thing every day for a really long time.
That sounds exhausting.
I know. I was like, I can't believe you stuck with this.
Yeah, good kudos, by the way, for doing it.
So,
what, I guess, you mentioned, you touched on a couple things. What do you, if you're, again, brand new sport, walking into a gym and you say, I want to coach, and someone says, I'm a coach, what do you look for in a good coach?
I want to see some sort of education behind that person, and I want to see that they also walk their talk. There's some people that's why I'm like I'm not the big CrossFitter, so I can't sit there and be like, oh my God, I can totally get you to the games, because I'm probably not your person.
Yeah.
I'm not your person, but I can help you get to nationals in weightlifting.
Mm-hmm.
So I can help you do that part. I can help you get out of like injuries and things like that, but I'm not your CrossFit coach. If you want to do that, there's a place across town that will totally help you get there. I'm just not your girl for that. So look for somebody that knows what they're talking about, knows how to do proper programming and if you have an injury or something like that, are they capable of dealing with that?
Workarounds.
And working around things that, and taking into consideration like, hey, your age, your lifestyle, things like that, and then your goals. Some people don't care about competing as much as others.
The majority of people, when you look at that national kind of CrossFit, that's really like the 1% of the 1%.
Yeah.
It might be a little bit bigger percentage that compete locally, so on and so forth. But one of the gyms we follow, called Deuce Gym, they're very well known out in Venice, California. Been able to speak to the owner a couple of times, just business related. Funny thing is, they were really successful. They're having multiple locations. And then he actually quit the business to go be a RV tour guide, like in the Midwest somewhere, just with his wife and kid, and just totally looks like he's living the dream kind of thing. But on their wall at their gym, it says 0 game athletes trained. And they're one of the most well-respected gyms out there. Their co-owner heads up the CrossFit Strongman seminar.
Okay.
So
I think it becomes more about what you're about. Then it's like, I think you have to make certain sacrifices to train games athletes, to train nationals weightlifters, to train. You're putting them a little bit more on a pedestal, I think, and it's a very hard balance. Yeah. And you have to, as a business owner, as a community, decide that, hey, this is what we're about, or we're going to go down this different road.
Well, it's also just, to jump in real quick, it's also, if Rich Roning shows up at your gym or whatever, it doesn't, he's the 4-time fittest man on earth, doesn't mean that you were a good coach. You know what I mean? Like, just that pedigree.
Yep.
So, to your point of finding a good coach, I wouldn't look for someone that's like, well, I've trained 10 games athletes.
Yeah.
And it doesn't always mean, or 10 national champions.
Or I'm a games athlete, or I'm a national weightlifter. It doesn't mean you're a good coach. It's both.
Right.
It works both ways.
I think it's a teamwork too. Like you have to understand somebody's personality.
Sure.
Like how I treat each person I work with totally different sometimes, because I'm like, you have to work with their personality.
Yeah.
Psychology.
Absolutely.
There's going to be some people that you can push and prod, and
some people need a hug, some people need a kick in the butt.
Yeah, and I'm like, stop
Some
trying
days
to
those are
max out.
different.
That's not a new program. That's not what you're supposed to be doing.
Got to reel in people. And it's feelwood week.
Yes.
We're maxing.
Yes.
Put it out. Stop it.
Exactly. But I'm like, slow down.
Yeah.
This is part of a cycle. There's some science behind what we're trying to do here.
Having people trust the process is very tough.
Yeah.
Especially if they do come from a CrossFit background, where we know as people who program, CrossFit, we know the method behind the madness, but they see it as throwing stuff at a wall and see what sticks.
Yeah.
So they're used to this go, 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 and then you bring someone into a weightlifting world, and it's, you know, it's like, well, why only 70%? It feels really light today. I'm like, I know.
I'm glad it feels light.
Good.
Good.
Yeah, go faster.
Yes.
Be quicker on the bar. Be more dynamic. So getting people to shift that mindset from one sport into the next is fun, but also very challenging. I know you're super busy, so we won't keep you here all day, but there is one question that we ask everyone that comes on the show at the end, and just kind of seeing what they provide as an answer has always been exciting. It's a very simple question of, what is your definition of fitness?
Oh, let's see.
Yeah,
I
don't mess it up.
know. No,
See,
I'm just like,
There's no wrong
what's really
Yeah, it's
exciting
just
about this
movement.
is you have
Yeah.
a very wide spectrum of things that you do here. So it can be whatever you think.
you know, I just think it's strength in quality movement. You know, it's amazing how many people view fitness as different because, you know, some people are like, oh, that person looks fit. And I have some people that come in here, I just want to look fit. What do you mean by looking fit? Because, you know, I think there's even like a video or something out there, and it shows like, again, a CrossFit athlete, and then you look at like you know, just a kind of 5K runner maybe or something like that, someone who might do yoga, and you'll look at different body shapes and size, and they're like, well, that's not fit, that's just like muscular and bulky, and that's fit because of this and that. So I really think it's like down to the individual of how you feel like you want to be fit. You know, I feel fit when I am strong and I'm lifting weights, you know. I don't feel fit when I try to run.
Yeah.
So, yeah, but I think in general, like, you're going to live longer and be more pain-free living if you move well. And whether that comes through running or walking or lifting weights or doing whatever, but having quality movement and finding a way to do it, you're going to do better when you can pick things up and put them down longer as you live. Tying your shoe and going to the bathroom
makes
and
everything
going,
easier.
yeah.
It really does.
So, you know, I mean, how you find a way to be strong, whether it's in a gym or at home or whatever it is, inside, outside, it's a matter of doing what works and moving well.
Awesome.
for a long time.
Well, thank you so much for taking time out of your absolutely hectic schedule.
It's
You
cool.
are, you're very, very. It's like I said, you were kind of dealing with some people, and were like just very impressed by your presence, your space, obviously everything you're building here. And I know just as a part of Kentucky Weightlifting, I'm excited for you to be a part of it, and I'm excited to see it grow and over the next couple of years. So,
Yeah, I'm
Where
excited.
can people find you?
Yeah.
Do you have some social media handles or just Big Blue?
Yep, we have at Blue Strength for Instagram, and MSJUTRAS, Ms. Jutras is my Instagram handle, personal handle. And then we're both on Facebook, both those pages. I have a separate Big Blue Pilates page as well on Facebook. And
Website?
Website, bigbluestrength.com.
Fantastic.
If you're in Lexington, come check out this space.
Yeah, definitely check them out. Thank you all for listening to Everyday Athlete. Join us next week as we dive deep into the lives of those who make us great. Thanks again.
Thank you.
Thanks.